With all due respect to everything we've done up until this point, it looks like a hunk of crap compared to what today's show is going to be, Johnny Venerable.
Well, watch the language. This is a family show. It's the most loaded show in the history of PHNX Cardinals. Trey McBride, Kurt Warner, Dan Orlovsky, Nick Wright, Adam Thielen, Donovan McNabb coming up right now. Hello and welcome in live from Radio Row here at the side of the Super Bowl 2025. It's PHNX Cardinals, your number one Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable, my dear friend and co-host Bo Brack, Damon, Dawg, producer extraordinaire, bros with Bijan Robinson. We're going to get to that later on live here and in living color on a football Thursday. We teased it in the opener. The most loaded show in terms of guests we have ever done here on a football Thursday, presented by our friends at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app today. Bonus code PHNX365. When you sign up, choose your offer. Find out why. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with Bet365.
No, and it's not ordinary today. It's not every day you get to talk to the best tight end in football, and we got to do that with Trey McBride, and he's going to talk about the potential of a big money extension, probably the richest in NFL history at that position. And we talked to some extremely well-versed ball knowers, actually some of the top ball knowers in all of the universe. Dan Orlovsky, Kurt Warner, the Cards legend. You had a great convo with Nick Wright. He delivered some takes. I mean, that's talk about a pro take deliverer. That's what Nick Wright is, and it's all here thanks to our friends over at Bet365. I mean, I joke, but it doesn't get much bigger than what this is on tap here for this show. You actually startled Hall of Fame running back Marcus Allen over there by opening the show. You did it with such enthusiasm.
Yeah.
He was rattled. He was shook.
Listen, with respect to Marcus Allen, what he's accomplished during his illustrious career, this is where the big boys play. And if you can't, stand the heat, get out of here.
Get out of the kitchen.
Get out of the kitchen, because we're here to get fired up, man. You don't have 6 guests, all notables today, and not be fired up. And with respect to, some shows that we do, maybe in the dog days of June, right? This is different. This is on par. This is a first-round caliber episode of PHNX Cardinals, headlined by our guy Trey McBride. Now, before we jump into the interview here, it's funny. We were walking. We were doing kind of the survey of the floor. We're looking for guests. We're securing appointments, conversations. And there's Trey McBride. We talked to him off air.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it on the interview itself. But first thing you brought up, Myles Garrett. Hey, I saw you guys recruiting Myles Garrett. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We need Myles Garrett in Arizona. And it's just like, that just shows you all the people out there that are like, hey, Cardinals, stay in your lane. You don't deserve a player of that caliber. The best player on the Arizona Cardinals overall is Trey McBride, and that's who he wants to play with. That's who he feels like should be on par with this franchise.
One of his peers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and
100%.
I mean, let's not be fooled either. It's a little bit self-serving.
I said we.
For yourself.
You can go ahead
and it's no Johnny obviously wanted to bring up that Trey saw Johnny out here on Radio Row yesterday screaming, yelling like a madman in his pitch to Myles Garrett. So you deserve the credit for that one. And Mac Wilson saw it as well. He did. He quote tweeted it. And many of the Arizona Cardinals are already giving their stamp of approval, just like all other 31 organizations would, about the idea of bringing Myles Garrett to their team. So we talked to Trey on and off air, just a guy that continues to be, a rising star. Like, as big as he's gotten, he's not even scratching the surface still. I think once he's got the Pro Bowl nod.
Yep.
I think he got some looks as far as being an all-pro. It's a loaded position across the league, especially when you look at a heavyweight like Travis Kelce. Obviously Brock Bowers jumping into the conversation this year. So many, George Kittle, who's in the same division. But like, once he gets that big contract, he's going to be recognized as one of the top tight ends in the league, like officially. Like people know about him from fantasy, they know about from the gaudy numbers, but they're going to know about him on an even higher level. And it's exciting that the Cardinals have one of those guys.
He's a marquee figure here at the Super Bowl. Like,
yes.
People walk around, he's on all the national shows, and the Cardinals need that ambassador, right? As we go through this offseason, when they're trying to I really feel like this offseason is about raising the talent floor.
Yeah.
Like the first 2 years of this rebuild, it was like, hey, just get a baseline.
Well, I don't know about that. Actually, I think they've raised the talent floor.
I probably not the best term of phrase. They need blue chippers.
Yeah.
They need stars, right? And that's why we're talking about Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, who, by the way, is here and still in a walking boot. Just putting that out there. Not fully healthy. I didn't heckle Max Crosby. Bo told me to heckle him, but in Max Crosby's defense, he did not ask for a trade. Myles put it out there.
Yeah.
I want to be traded. Here's my excerpt. He's doing Radio Row, so that's why I felt like that was appropriate, even though a lot of people think it's the opposite appropriate. But Trey McBride is a star here. The Cardinals need more star players, right? Like, roughly, like, how many true stars are on this team where you can say every Sunday, that guy's going to show up. He's going to play at a high level. I think we've got like a handful of guys, right? I think James Conner fits that category. I think Budda Baker fits that category. Obviously, Trey McBride. Kyler can be a star, right?
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well, I think we're getting there, right?
Yeah.
But like proven entities, and that's why
I'm making an educated guess.
You are. An educated wish, maybe. Paris Johnson Jr. at left tackle. They need some star players specifically on that defensive side, and that's one of the things we talked about with Trey.
Yeah. Should we, without further ado, should we get into it, or what do you want to do? Because we got so much, beyond Trey as well, but you're not going to find, I think, a better conversation with one of the top players, the Arizona Cardinals, where he really was transparent about a lot of things as far as getting and improving this roster, his future in the desert, his want, his will, his need to be here. And everything that, was a daily conversation, especially on this podcast surrounding this team throughout the 2024 season and beyond.
Here's Trey McBride earlier today, stalwart Pro Bowler for the Arizona Cardinals. The marquee guest of the week here on Radio Row, Johnny Venerable, Bo Brack, Pro Bowl tight end, Arizona Cardinals, Trey McBride. Trey, career year, how we living, my guy?
Yeah, living good, man. Just got back from the Pro Bowl, had so much fun out there. See my teammate Budda, man. It was just so good to be around those guys, but doing great, man. Happy to be here in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. Just so many exciting things going on.
Just a couple buddies hanging out on set wearing our favorite hats from Brandon and Bills. I've got mine on. You've got yours on. I guess Johnny's hair is too nice. He can't wear a hat.
That's not true at all. I said, Bo before today goes, hey, he's repping Brandon Bills. I'm like, oh, I'll grab mine from the back. And Bo's like, no, I'll just wear mine. I'll wear mine. You're fine.
I sabotaged him, but no, there was no sabotaging this season as far as that. When you said Orlando Pro Bowl, what was just that experience like? Probably pretty surreal.
Yeah, so surreal, man. Just to be with guys that I've grown up watching, guys that I play against all year, the best of the best, and then for all of us to get together to compete in a football game and all the cool events that they have before it, man. It was just a fun weekend, and I hope to be a part of it again someday.
We went through, I want to call it a drought at the tight end position, but we've never had a
that doesn't do it justice.
We've never had a consistent presence at tight end. So we're still coming to grips from, and I'm going to fanboy for a second, not having tight ends of note to having literally the best tight end in the NFL on the Arizona Cardinals. Like, have Cardinal fans kind of made that known to you? Like, hey, this is a position we don't get gifted, and now you've come along and had the career you've had?
Yeah, I think it's really cool, man. Just I didn't realize how bad it was before then.
It's real bad.
Just to be a part of that, man, to bring some excitement, some joy to this to the Valley, man. It brings a lot of joy to my heart, man. I just play the game with a lot of passion, and I try to catch the ball and not get tackled as many times as I can.
Can I ask you about one specific play this year against, I think it was against the New York Jets? And the move you put on Sauce Gardner. Can we talk about that for a second? I watched that, and I'm like, that looks like if I tried to tackle an NFL
You were
player.
telling us he went high, and you're just like, you don't do that.
Yeah, he did tackle me a little high, and I just kept moving my feet, kind of shrugged him off, and then one of his teammates got jumped over. So that was a bad deal, man. I blame Sauce for all that stuff, man.
No, I mean, it was pretty steady throughout the year covering you and getting to talk to you throughout the season, and you're like, man, the hurdles, they just come to me, but I got to slow it down. And it looked like you were going to maybe be slowed down. Somebody for the Niners were prepared for it, and then you put them into the earth.
Yeah, no, that was crazy, man. That last game, I was like, I'm done jumping. I'm not doing it. And then, Just the excitement, the joy of being out there. I just got up a little giddy, and then kicked him right in the face, and then I landed. I was like, holy smokes, this is crazy. When I was up in the air, I was like, this is gonna end real bad, and then I landed, and I was like, wow, that was pretty sweet.
I think one of the best attributes that you bring to the table in our fan base, the Cardinal fan base, is recognize this. You're not only an elite player, but your desire for this team to win and your competitive spirit. Like, I think about like the frustrations at the end of the year, and you're an emotional guy. Like, how important is it for you for the team now to have team success?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really the only thing I care about now. I love being in Arizona, man. I know what we're capable of. I know Kyler. I know everything. Jonathan, Gannon, Monty, they've done a great job of building the culture the right way, and I'm just so excited to see where we can take this thing the next couple years. We plug and place a couple guys, man, and we're going to be really, really good.
We talked to Michael Wilson. We got the interviews with a lot of your teammates, and it seemed like it was kind of the consensus. You guys confident, but also frustrated with how things ended, right? Like it felt like that. How do you kind of turn the page? Do you let that kind of linger to utilize it, or do you kind of flush it?
Yeah, you mean you a little bit of both. You want to turn the page, but at the same time, you got to realize what we had and what we missed. We had a missed opportunity. We're 6-4 going in the bye week and don't make the playoffs. I mean, that's really frustrating. Don't get me wrong, but it is also exciting because we know what we're capable of. We know that we can beat these really good teams, and I think the expectation is to make the playoffs. I mean, we were right there. We missed it by a game or whatever this year, but I think that's the expectation next year is to make the playoffs.
You know what? We're here recruiting on Radio Row as well, and I don't know if you saw this or not. I went up to Myles Garrett and casually asked him if he'd like to be an Arizona Cardinal, and I think his smile basically said, yes, I would absolutely like that. But in all seriousness, Trey, like, what do you have to say to the people who are like, well, the Cardinals, they shouldn't be in play for a Myles Garrett or somebody of that caliber? Do you feel like that where the team is now, it could warrant a move like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we have some money, and we need a guy like that. We are desperate for an edge rusher of that caliber, for sure. Any team that Myles gets on, that team instantly becomes so much better. He brings so much to that defense. He's a game wrecker. He's a guy that, I hate blocking. So that's the other thing. I want him on my team, but then again, I don't want to block him in practice every day. That sounds miserable. But no, he's a tremendous athlete, and I would love to see him in some Cardinal red.
As far as the offense goes, obviously you had the highs, you had the lows, people looking maybe for more consistency. What's your message to the people that maybe came away from frustrated? They see the personnel, they see you, they see Marvin Harrison Jr., James Conner, Kyler Murray. What's the message to the people that are like, if we're going to return everybody, what's going to be different?
Yeah, I think, we're right there. We were right there last year, and we just didn't get it done. So I'm excited to see, what they do in the offseason, who they bring in. I think they're going to try to, beef up the O-line a little bit, get some bigger guys in there. And I'm excited to see, because if Kyler's protected, man, the guy can do everything. He's a freak athlete. He moves around with his feet. And I think the sky's the limit for our offense next year, man. I fully expect to be in the playoffs.
Speaking of the offense, let's talk a little Marvin Harrison Jr. He came with such fanfare in the offseason, right? Like, we covered it ad nauseum this time last year.
We were talking to Trey about Marv even before he was drafted at this time last year.
He became a Cardinal, and people are sitting here, and it's like, but he didn't have a Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson rookie year, so it's a failure, right? Like, talk to me about your impressions of the young Ohio State product year one with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I think the sky's the limit for him, man. You think about it, man. I think he had 850 yards or so, and that's a really good rookie season. I mean, the expectations that this guy had, his dad's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he has so much pressure on him, and to see what he did with all of that was so cool to watch. But just like me, man, I had 200 yards my first year, and then made a huge jump that second year, and I fully expect Marvin to do that too. The game's different than it is in college. You see defenses differently. They play different coverages, and it takes an adjustment to get there, and I think that huge adjustment's going to happen this next year for him, and I'm excited to see what this guy can do, because he's a freak of an athlete.
It's just kind of drinking from a fire hose as far as, what you're trying to do, diagnose pre-snap as far as how they're going to cover and then how they actually execute the play. I mean, it really just does seem like he had a lot thrown at him, especially playing the X receiver position. I mean, you do point out, like, as far as yourself, like 200 yards your first season, as long as you kind of get on track and you face those live reps, you should be in a good spot to continue to trend upwards.
Yeah, and that's another thing is Kyler such a unique quarterback. He plays a little different than some quarterbacks, so you have to get to know how he plays and what he's looking for, where he's trying to throw the ball, different things like that. And I think that connection between Marvin and him are just going to continue to grow the more reps and things that they have together. So I'm excited to see where these guys can go, man. obviously Kyler's the guy. Marvin is a tremendous athlete, so the offense can be so good next year, and I'm excited to see Marvin make a huge jump.
Let's talk about your situation. I think JG let it slip in a presser this year after you had one of your marquee huge games.
It was during the touchdownless streak.
Yeah.
And they were saying, JG in a post-game press conference said, well, that's not why that guy's going to get paid.
Okay, so speaking of that.
And then Michael Wilson, too.
We know you're under contract, but we know you're due to become, we believe, the highest paid tight end in the NFL. Like, where are you at with the Cardinals contract negotiations? Has that started? Give our audience some insight.
That's funny, man. No, I fully, want to be a Cardinal. I love being in Arizona, and this is where I want to win. This is exactly what I want to do, and I'm just excited to see, what that next step is. Right now, the season just ended, so I'm still on, a little relaxed mode, but I think Monty and my agent will start talking here soon, and hopefully we can get something done before the season.
Does it give you hope? Like, Buda Baker, James Conner, they got deals during the year, right?
Yeah.
They're stalwarts of this organization that the Cardinals now are loyal to their marquee players.
Yeah, and I think that's great. Monty's done a great job of building that culture, and I know exactly what he wants. I know exactly what kind of player he looks for, and I think I build that. I'm part of that mold that he's looking for. And I think to keep those core players in, to keep those young guys, to build the team around, I think that's something that he needs to get done. And I'm excited to see what he does. And he's locked a few good players up, and hopefully he can get a few more. And I'm excited to see what this team can do next year.
From such humble beginnings, I mean, Fort Morgan, CSU, and what does big money Trey look like? I mean, where do you even begin?
I'm not gonna change, man. I'm gonna be the same guy. It'll be a lot of fun, but I'm excited. It's very, very exciting times, but at the same time, man, I'm enjoying the off season, and all that stuff will really take care of itself this time.
We had one of your position mates on the show, Psycho, and he was telling me about just like the O-line pulled one on their rookies. You guys pulled one on poor Tip.
Yeah.
As far as he might be facing like a 10 grand bill at dinner. Can you give us more insight on that?
He was sick, man. We took him out to dinner, and I was trying to keep it around $2,500, 4,000 max, kind of in that range. I wasn't going to kill the guy, but we were going to have a little bit of fun.
That's what I was on Bourbon Street last night, making sure keep it under $4,000.
It was good. And then when that bill came out, and it said like 14,000, and you see Tip swallowing. He's dry swallowing. He's blinking a few times, like making sure his eyes are working right. And then we're having a conversation, pretending like we don't see him over there, and then he was just like, is anyone gonna, like, is this right? Is something? And then he's looking at the bill. He wants the full receipt, wants to see everything that we paid for. And no, it's hilarious. He's a great guy, great rookie, and I'm excited to that room's so much fun, and I'm excited to keep growing with that room.
Congrats to his family, by the way. He just welcomed his first kid we saw on Instagram. That's fantastic.
No, he's great. His wife, Maddie's great. He just had his first kid, so I'm excited to get the kids some stuff for Christmas next year.
It's gonna be a big kid, by the way.
Yeah.
Give us the scouting report on Tip, because I think we all were, I don't want to say caught off guard. This show was, because you had just had the year you had, and then Higgy Bear comes in, has a really nice rookie season, and then the Cardinals take this tight end from the University of Illinois.
In the third round.
The third round, and it's like, what does Tip Ryman bring to the Arizona Cardinals that maybe the box score doesn't represent?
I think he brings a lot of tough physicality and hard work, man. The guy, he does a lot of the dirty work that I don't have to do, and I really appreciate that from him. He does everything the right way. But the other thing about him is a lot of people don't think this guy can catch the ball too. Like he's not just a blocking big guy that does. This guy's sneaky athletic. He'll make it happen, and he's a great athlete. But he's a huge asset to our room. I love playing next side of Tip and Elijah. Man, we got a great room, and I'm excited for this room to continue to grow.
Let me ask you a follow-up quickly. So you made the Pro Bowl this year. We should have made it last year. I feel that same way about Paris Johnson Jr.
Yeah.
Should have been at the Pro Bowl this year. How good can that guy be?
Oh, man, he's a cornerstone of our offense. A great pick by Monty, and I'm just excited to see, how he continue. This is his first year at left tackle in the NFL. He got a little banged up at the end of the season, but he does everything the right way. He's a great leader. He's full of energy, and, man, I think the sky's the limit for him too, man. I think he's an all-pro kind of tackle.
Where does Kyler go from here? We talk about it. Could 2025 be our make or break season for him? What do you envision for your quarterback as we wrap up?
I think exactly. He's an MVP caliber player. He does everything the right way. He's a leader. He does. He's a freak athlete, and I think the sky's the limit for him. Our offense. He's the guy that I love. He's the guy leading our offense, and he's the helm of our team, man. So I'm fully behind Kyler, man. I love everything about him, and I'm excited for our connection and everything to grow.
We're excited to talk to you about Brandon, Bill Miles. Might just go find Myles Garrett and give him one of these. I think that'll get it done, right?
Let's do the Arizona one, right?
Yeah.
Let's get that locked in. But also, you can elevate your brand, whether it's your co-ed softball team, whether it's your business.
No doubt.
Branded Bills, brandedbills.com, Mesa Company, but man, they're going worldwide.
Yeah, absolutely, man. The thing that they really focus on that I think is cool is the customization of hats. You can order small quantities, large quantities, but you can customize your own hat. We can put the, like you guys have, the PHX, the logo on it, man.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And, you're going to get your order real quick. It's only going to take a couple weeks to get out to you. So super cool, super friendly. And they're based in Arizona. So what is there to hate about that?
They're based in Arizona, as is this man, the best tight end in the National Football League, Trey McBride. My guy, can't wait for next year.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, man.
You so much.
Man, the best of the best. Trey McBride, there he was, live on Radio Row earlier today. So much good stuff to dive into.
Absolutely. Just to break down, recap Trey Day, and then also get into some more incredible interviews. Dan Orlovsky, Kurt Warner, and Adam Thielen coming up here at PHNX Cardinals. So when I was hitting the road to New Orleans, I had an early wake-up call, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Gross.
And you know what? I was concerned, who the hell is going to want to take me to the airport at that time? I don't want to have to lean on anybody, burden them with a ride to the airport at 4 a.m. So I just opened up my app for Waymo. Waymo, of course, the autonomous but not driverless car that's out there. It's operated by a Waymo driver, but you're just in there like myself on Sunday morning, just riding solo, just kicking my feet up and enjoying the relaxing ride, clean as can be. Brand new Jags that you're just rolling around in there, that the driverless car that's not driverless is navigating through the streets of Phoenix so carefully and so precise, got me to the airport with ease, dropped me right off at my terminal, and then I was able to get out there and get on my flight and get on to New Orleans, no problem. I'm a Waymo guy. The other, ride shares, they will take a backseat to my friends over at Waymo. Do yourself a favor. Download the Waymo app today, the Waymo One app, and get your ride today. Waymo.
You know who doesn't take a back seat? Our friend is at Verizon. I've been a Verizon customer seemingly all my life, as have you. And right now, if you're thinking about popping over to Verizon, how about $800 to pay off your phone right now with this promo? It's unbelievable. Because I think a lot of people see Verizon, it's like the cornerstone of cell phone providers, but they're like, oh, I got a phone I got to pay off.
Yeah.
Now, Verizon's going to hook you up right now for limited time. New customers, folks, listen in. $800 in a prepaid MasterCard gift card to pay off your current smartphone loan when you switch. Again, $800, help you out, get you saddled up with Verizon, get you saddled up with the best. I can't tell you how imperative it is on like weeks like this to have good cell service.
Don't even think twice.
The Wi-Fi here has been a little spotty. So sometimes I'm just like, hotspot on my Verizon cell phone. Boom, we're back in business to be able to produce this kind of program
The internet
for you.
went out of the Airbnb. You were just, you had internet for everybody off your hotspot.
I did.
Thank you, Verizon.
Yeah, absolutely. Just trade in any phone from our top brands with selected unlimited plans. This deal won't last long, so don't get stuck on the bench. Verizon, they're hitting leadoff, baby. Switch to Verizon today and take control of your game plan. Visit your local Verizon store for more details. Big thanks to our guy, sweet baby Trey McBride, joining the show. He's been on our show a couple times now. Certainly won't be the last. Hope to do more with Trey McBride, who is poised. I mean, it's like, give that guy a C on his chest. Captain Stalworth. Like,
You think that's next?
Oh, yeah. I think Trey well, first of all, I think he's going to get paid $20 million a year. He was humble, but you could tell contract negotiations. Like, here's the best part about Trey is that you extend Trey now, the cap hit doesn't happen until 2026.
Right.
But when you put together back-to-back seasons like he has and how dominant he was, like we were in the Miami game, best player on the field. I mean, you think about some of the games at the end of the year when the Cardinals couldn't do anything offensively, he was the only constant. Right. I think this is the easiest, like, hey, let me just cut you a check, Trey.
And just the diverse way that they're able to feed him the football.
Yep.
I mean, there were a couple games this year we're watching together, and you look up and he's got 8 catches for 80 yards. Yep. He's approaching 100 yards with ease, and you're like, man, I didn't even know he was just involved. You absolutely saw his involvement, but at the same time, he made it a very easy 100-yard receiving performance. It seems time after time, but then he's able to mix in some spectacular plays. You get him the ball before the line of scrimmage. You get him the ball at the line of scrimmage. You get him beyond the line of scrimmage, down the field. He's such a multiple tight end, receiving multiple tight end. It's just it's just a weapon to have, and it's a reminder of the past where they struggled at that position, but it's exciting about the future with Trey McBride.
It is. And again, talking about his contract, talking about Myles Garrett, he echoed those comments. Like, that's the kind of player that Trey McBride wants to play with, his caliber, like his equal at a different position. And I really thought it was interesting. I mean, you guys heard his verbiage. He goes, we need an impact number one edge guy.
Yeah.
And, like, that's not him throwing shade at Zaven Collins or B.J. Ojulari or anybody else. But, like, if Trey McBride is saying that, everybody else within the team is thinking that. Of note, the front office, the coaching staff, like, I just, it was obvious. The Cardinals just were not talented enough at that spot. Now, that doesn't mean you can't bring back a Baron Browning and develop a couple guys like a Xavier Thomas, but they need an alpha dog at that position. And I think this offseason, that has to be priority one. I mean, you got Trey McBride out here talking about get me an edge rusher. Get the Cardinals an edge rusher.
There's no doubt about it, and I think you do a good job in kind of hammering this home that there's even parts of the fan base that are content with just likable players.
Yeah.
And you're hearing it from Trey McBride, who's playing at the next level. One of the guys on this team that you can definitively say he's a star in this league. He's top 5 at his position, and he's a guy that week in and week out is performing for this team. And when they look back at where they fell short post-bye and what was preventing them from getting over the hump and getting into the playoffs, and they take inventory of it, they realize, okay, we need to be better here.
Yep.
Out of necessity to get to where we want to go. Because without a doubt, with a guy like Jonathan Gannon, with Kyler Murray, with Trey McBride, and a lot of guys that they've brought into this organization now in the new culture, they're not going to take like, hey, these are some good guys that can give us snaps. We need to play winning football, and we need winning players to get there.
Trey McBride is one of the nicest guys in the NFL, on our set, privately, publicly, but he's also a winner and wants to win. And I think, like, you're allowed to say, hey, Dennis Gardeck and Jesse Luketa and Victor Dumakage, these are nice guys.
You're saying that.
I'm saying that.
Yes.
And this fan base should feel comfortable saying that, too. We like you as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for what you've done. And also, you're not good enough to help us win big time.
Right.
Like, how did you watch the Cardinals finish second to last in pass rush win rate in sacks last year and think, run it back, minor tweaks, and we got the best player on the flipping team here, and it's like, we need an edge rusher bad. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but, I mean, it's like people who are like, run it back with, a guy like, Victor Dumakage.
I think
Dennis
this guy
Gardeck.
can be good. I think that, look at this guy's pressures. He's so close. It's like,
if I hear one more person talk to me about pressures, when the all-pros sit next to us, he says, can we get somebody to sack the quarterback, please? I can't do it myself. I literally can't throw touchdowns to myself. I can't sack the quarterback. And then you got Myles Garrett, the ultimate freak show, walking around here like, somebody come get me. I'm available.
That's unreal. We talk more about the Arizona Cardinals, of course, with one of the Arizona Cardinals legends, Hall of Famer.
Before we move on, I wanted to ask real quick, after that Trey McBride interview, temperature check here, who do you guys think he's closer with now?
Oh, between he and I?
Yeah.
Probably still Bo. I mean, he dapped up Bo a couple times today, and every time I saw that, it like broke my heart every time.
But you got the two-handed handshake from Trey at the end of the interview. Bo didn't get that.
No, I think Bo...
That's cordial, though. That's almost, he almost gave him like the respect he would like talking to his girlfriend's dad.
But isn't that like, I mean, that's special. That he has a lot of respect for Johnny.
No,
He looks up to him.
Look, that's great. That's awesome, dude. But he looks at me, and it's almost like, are we boys? I don't think there's any question.
I think here's the difference. He does view Bo as his boy, as his buddy, and that's fine. I'll give him that. He views me as somebody that probably can get some stuff done. The way I was handling, again, be honest, Damon, the way I was handling the Myles Garrett situation yesterday, the fact that Trey brought that up today, it's like Bo is helping his buddy behind the scenes.
You think he thinks of you in the same vein? Like as far as the elites, like the Myles Garrett, the big-time playmakers?
I think he's looking at me like Johnny's trying to get something done to help me and my team win. Bo is trying to, let's be real here, what's the biggest indictment of Bo? Run it back with Purgatory Pass Rush Group. That's what Bo wants to do. So when I think Trey's like, Bo, I respect you, but let Johnny and I take care of the needs of this team. There's a different respect.
Well, let me ask you who you'd rather be. Would you rather be JG? Would you rather be his position coach, Ben Steele, who he respects and he'll take, direction from? or would you rather be like I'm his position mate? Like I'm like Marvin Harrison Jr.
I think you're like a teammate, and I'm like I could be Trey's coach. I could be his life coach, maybe. So yeah,
Mentor, potentially?
Mentor, absolutely. I think all of the above. Check all the boxes here, but the good news is we're hoping to have Trey on more throughout the offseason, maybe into next year, that he can become closer to the show. Here's what I will say. I'm closer to Michael Wilson than Bo is, so can we put that out there?
I don't think so.
Jesus.
I don't think so. I mean, I dap up Mike too.
Oh, man, Mr. Dap Up. Speaking of Dap Ups, we got the ultimate Dap Up right now. Everybody but me on this show is dapping up pro athletes, including our guy Damon Dawg. And see if you can see who Damon Dawg is dapping up here. It's a certain Pro Bowl running back.
Damon, I played football with you at South Point. I was a senior when you were a freshman. On God, yeah? Yeah. I just wanted to come say what's up real quick. Good to see you, man. Good to see you too, man. How you doing? You guys got a crazy day going on? Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Star of the show, man. Yeah, good seeing you, dude. Hey, Lancers for life. Lancers for life. I'll see you a little bit.
That might be the most unreal clip of the week right there.
Which is tough. It's good company, but that just edges it out when Damon's saying we were in the same football team at South Point. On God.
That's on babies, man. Me and Bijan, that's just guys being dudes. We might grab a drink after this. Who knows? I'll text him later.
And then the riz that the young sweet baby Damon had, he's like, what'd you say, star of the show today?
I was like, yeah, star of the show, man. I'm sure you're pretty busy. And he was like, yeah, you know how it is, man. And I was like, I really do.
Because, we all have those stories that people lean on. Like, I knew so-and-so in high school. I played T-ball with, Peyton Manning or whatever. Damon has talked up his relationship with Bijan Robinson, and he backed it up today. And for that, I commend you, my friend.
Yeah.
It could have been easy for Bijan Robinson, like he does to so many, to stiff-arm Damon into the turf, to stiff-arm Damon into the ground here to get his people to throw him off stage, and for him to show him that kind of love there. There's speaking of respect, there's respect there.
Yeah.
I mean, Bijan, have you seen the way he jukes people out, like on the over top cams? He could have easily hit me with one of those today.
It would have been really easy to do that.
Taking my ankles off my body, but I think he recognized me. I genuinely think I think so. After I told him I played football with him, he was like, you know what? I did with this son of a gun.
And that's the sign of a real good dude. It really is.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. I mean, and to have so much to rep his city like he does Tucson, almost nearly as much as you. That's cool to see. I mean, you guys are basically peers.
That was an emotional video. And then I love in the chat, Valley Boys 14. Please, Mr. Bijan, I'm a huge fan. We went to school together.
He accused me of fangirling too.
That's all this week is. It's fanboys and girls here on PHNX Cardinals.
Just with credentials.
That's right.
Yeah.
Speaking of credentials, we use them for good use today. Right around the corner, Kurt Warner, Dan Orlovsky. What do they think of Kyler Murray? How can he be more consistent? That's coming up. But first, let me tell you about our friends at Sanderson Ford. I was just chatting with Bo last night. We were walking the streets here on Bourbon Street, and I'm thinking about upgrading my vehicle, and I'm seeing some of these cars that are on display here, and I'm like, man, I need a truck. Man, I need to be able to get a truck, take myself more seriously on the road, and I know who I'm going to call. I'm going to call my friends at Sanderson Ford, PHNX, the official vehicle partner, Sanderson Ford. Drive into the new year in a new Ford from Sanderson Ford. Again, new year, new vehicle, same Johnny, but how about a better Johnny with a 2025, Bronco Badland? Tremendous. Sanderson has 28 to choose from.
That's more your speed.
Yeah, with
You're
discounts.
More of a Bronco guy.
Nah, I don't like you making decisions for me. Up to $10,000 off. Purchase a new Edge. Under $36K, $35,995. They also took hundreds of qualified trade-in vehicles in their year-end sale, and they have 25 pre-owned vehicles with a warranty under $25,000. That's great. Folks out there looking for your new car, your used car, maybe a new car for somebody who just turned 16 in your life. For the best deals in 2025, choose Sanderson for no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense experience, and get more for your trade-in with easy spot financing. Drive into the new year in a new Ford with our friends at Sanderson Ford, America's most awarded Ford dealership.
Johnny would look great in the brand new Ford. You would look great in the brand new Ford. You also would look great in the home of your dreams. If you're looking to buy a home this year in 2025, look no further than our friends over at Carol Royce Realty. Look, 480-776-5231 and visit CarolRoyceTeam.com. Carol Royce Real Estate Team is family-owned and locally operated for 3 generations of family members serving the Valley of the Sun. Love Carol and her team. They have an unbeatable track record, having sold over 12,000 homes across Arizona, and really knows the real estate market backwards and forwards, knows the lay of the land, and knows how to get you the best deal. And also, when you're looking at everything and you're selling, you can just rest easy knowing that you're not just making the right choice, but you're making the guaranteed one. Your home for 100% of the market value, or Carol will pay you the difference. If you're looking for a cash offer, why settle on just one? Carol can get you sometimes 6, 7, 8. And just pick the best one for you, your family, and then get into the home of your dreams. If you're considering selling your home in 2025, the name to trust is Carol Royce. Your home sold guaranteed realty. Have questions? Call today, 480-776-5239, and visit Carol Royce online, CarolRoyceTeam.com. That's CarolRoyceTeam.com.
NBA trade deadline for our Phoenix Suns, a huge bust, but you know it's not a bust. Our friends at Bet365.
Hey, they got rid of Nurk.
Yeah, we had to give away a first-round pick. Not great, Matt Ishbia, but what is great, the offers right now. How about the betting scene with Bet365 ahead of the big game? Kansas City Chiefs, the slight favorite, 1.5. I do love their money line at -120, but all the props, maybe a first touchdown awaits you. Plus, again, if you're waiting for the big game and you need that itch with our friends at Bet365, they're going to hook you up some bonus bets. You can bet, of course, on the NHL early payout offer and, of course, the NBA tip-off Tuesday. You can watch the Suns this upcoming weekend, and, of course, the big game Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl. Sign up right now. Use the bonus code PHNX365. Deposit $10. Place a bet for just a 5 spot. Get $150 in bonus bets. No questions asked. I love to pepper it. I love to do maybe a little Gatorade bath. Which color? First team to score. Who's leading at halftime, right? I like
Super Bowl MVP.
Super Bowl MVP. I like Xavier Worthy to have another big game. Again, you got to be 21 years and older, physically located here in the great state of Arizona, back home. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov, Bo, for more info.
Is the winning parlay Chiefs, Pat Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can get plus money on that.
Yeah. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's good value there. We got to hold or fold tomorrow.
Well, man.
One last time.
But one last time.
It means everything. If I miss tomorrow, I will be negative for the first time all season
never need
long.
anything more.
I mean, I made it through the entire year.
Are you coached by Cliff Kingsbury?
At the end, just choked 5 in a row.
I can't wait for Damon to pick the most gross chalk -500. It's gonna be
I might do that.
It's gonna be like Travis Kelce 2 catches. That'll be Damon's pick tomorrow on Hold or Fold the Line.
You're gonna come up. You're gonna be in the lab tonight.
Why not? Just
concocting all the grossest parlays you could possibly come up with.
I'm getting gross on Bourbon Street, and I'm getting gross with Hold or Fold Manana. You know, we were buttoned up at least this morning and had a chance to connect with Arizona Cardinal legend, NFL Hall of Famer Kurt Warner. It was a interview. It was a run instead of a walk. And a big shout out as we air this to our guy Shane Diefenbach, who Steadicam, is that what we call it? What's the terminology, Damon?
I forget what the contraption is called, but it's one of those things where you hold on to it, and no matter how much you move around, it stays completely still.
It was like
he backpedaled through a massive humanity about 100 yards shooting video with us and Kurt Warner.
Yeah, Kurt, very busy man, didn't have a ton of time, so gave us what he could. Here's the Arizona Cardinal Ring of Honor member, Hall of Famer Kurt Warner with PHNX Cardinals.
Former Arizona Cardinals legend, Hall of Famer Kurt Warner joins us here on Super Bowl Radio Row. Kurt, you did a great breakdown on the Cardinals offense earlier this season on QB Confidential. What was your overall assessment as far as Kyler Murray and the Cards offensively in 2024?
I mean, I think Kyler has grown every year as a quarterback. Obviously, their offense is kind of taking a shape where it's more about running the football and being more physical. But I think there's a lot of good things to build off of with him, Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, what they have from a talent standpoint. But I just think it's about consistency. Always about consistency when it comes to throwing the football. And, Kyler just has to continue to get more and more consistent in making those kind of everyday layups.
Kurt, you played your best football at season's end. How can Kyler be better in the months of November and December, where we've seen kind of the play, fall off a little bit post-5?
Well, I think the biggest thing is always, when you're playing against better teams down the stretch, you've got to play better football. And it just becomes about consistency, right? I always believe that the best teams, like, the Chiefs, we use them as a great example. It's like, they're the same every time out. Right. Like, we always have this impression that they elevate in the playoffs, but to me, they just play their same football all year long, 60 minutes every game, and that consistency and that normal happens in the biggest moments. And to me, that's what it's all about with the Cardinals, is developing that consistency every game, 60 minutes, and because I think they have the talent and they're competitive every time out, but that's what's going to put them over the top.
Great stuff from the Hall of Famer there, and we'd love to get Kurt on more. We let him know that and hoping to bring him on, but I think, Kurt is in an advantageous position with Cardinal fans and the Valley in general. He's the GOAT right now until taken over, and right now the trajectory of Kyler Murray suggests that that's not going to be by him.
Yeah.
Now, Kurt Warner, again, came to the Arizona Cardinals, was an afterthought by many, gets to a Super Bowl, cements his Hall of Fame status, and I think because of how Kurt was able to handle it, like you even told me, and I didn't even know this, you were going to ask him this, 28 years old until he gets his first start.
Yeah.
And Kyler Murray's about to turn 28.
That's right. Yeah. And that's, as we see like the resurgence or just kind of the career renaissance for a guy like Sam Darnold, who was considered a bust, an afterthought, and he comes on the scene and throws 35 touchdowns. Say what you will, about his performance at the end of the season, but he solidified himself as a quarterback that's going to be highly coveted this offseason. And you look at his season as a whole, is successful. Can Kyler Murray, can he kind of find that next gear? Can he finally tap into it and to start counting these quarterbacks out? Like, there are certain guys who just can't play, right? Yeah. They just can't throw the ball. But that's not the case with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, yeah, he's exactly. He's got on his resume, and you've seen the skill set, and he's had runs where he's been able to put on a show. It's what Kurt's saying there. Can he do it 75% of the time instead of just about 50% of the time, right? Can he tap into that? And it's going to be so important as he gets here at the age of 28. Like, I don't know if he'll be like Kurt, where he can play like into his late 30s, right? Is Kyler going to be a guy that ages well? We'll see. But, I've heard this from him consistently, taking the layups more often.
Yeah.
Right? And I think he really means that on, like, money downs. How often do we see the Cardinals on 3rd and 4th down, Kyler take a shot? Instead, like, you see a player underneath, like Trey McBride or, Greg Dortch or somebody that's open. If you just take those layup throws and you move the chains and you give yourself a new set of downs and an opportunity to continue that drive. I know he wants to make big plays. He wants to kind of get the explosives back in this offense, but you still can't force it. I think it would be better served to continue to kind of lean into what Drew Petzing's offense does sometimes offer you underneath.
Chris Ramos with a good chat saying, disagree that it's a guarantee that Kyler can't pass Warner. I don't think it's a guarantee, but I do think, like, what would Kyler Murray have to do to pass Kurt Warner? He'd have to get to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Or he'd have to have prolonged postseason success. I mean, Kurt Warner wasn't just a Super Bowl. The very next year, he lit up the Packers, right, and was taken out by Bountygate. Otherwise, does that team go back to the Super Bowl?
Can I make one case for Kyler?
Yeah.
The NFC West stunk back then.
It did.
Kurt did take, and they were good teams. They were talented teams. And they showed that it was just more than just the division. They ran through the playoffs into the Super Bowl. But look, I completely agree.
You're right.
If Kyler's able to rack up 3 playoff appearances in the next 4 years, I think that he starts to make his case and very well has a solid case to be, the top quarterback in this franchise's history.
I think he's going to win. It's ironic. He's going to win the longevity award for a guy who a lot of people think can't finish the season strong, or from a health perspective. He's going to have been the starting quarterback since 2019 going into next year, barring something unforeseen. Like, Warner didn't do that. Leinart, Kevin Cobb, Jim Hart, none of these guys. Like, Kyler Murray's got a chance with the longevity piece, but is it a longevity of mediocrity? Mm-hmm. Is it a longevity of what could have been and missed potential? We asked Dan Orlovsky of ESPN those questions and more. Here's our sit-down from the ESPN NFL analyst. The fun continues here live from Radio Row. Of course, ESPN NFL analyst Dan Orlovsky. Dan, marquee matchup this weekend, but not for us as Arizona Cardinal fans. Our season ended long ago. Cardinals, once upon a time, 6-4 pre-bye, but some uneven play post-bye, end of the year at 8-9. What do you think the Cardinals need to do to get to the next level?
Catch a season with better health. I think that's a big deal. You know, when they were 6-4, everyone was like, who do you think's going to win the West? And you know, I had picked the Rams and everyone's like Cardinals. I'm like, I just think at some point the injuries will pile up. And so I think they got to get a little bit healthier or catch the health bug. You know, I was super impressed with the way that they played football defensively this year, again, with some of the deficiencies with their health. Buda was sensational. Kaiser was outstanding. Robinson, once he got healthy, you know, started to play good football. So I like a lot of their defense. You probably got to get a little bit high end on the corner, maybe. I think offensively, you know, the offense is issue. I was thinking about this yesterday because you got Marv and you got Mike. Mm-hmm. So you really like those two guys, and Marv is going to be better in Kyler's connection. And Dortch has had some nice moments, but do they need a little bit an elevated slot type of receiver? And Mike and Marv are big-bodied guys, you know, and so you love that part of their game, but do they need somebody that can be a little bit more, maybe a bigger version of Greg to work the middle of the field? Trey's an absolute superstar. Health on the offensive line will be a big deal. So I think there's a lot to like, and I think this was a really good year for, you know, that foundation kind of being built for them and under Gannon for the future.
I love that you're just randomly thinking about the Cardinals playmakers. It's just a random Wednesday.
I'm telling you, I was thinking about it yesterday. I don't know why it popped into my head, but I was thinking about something, and I was like, yo, the Cardinals could really use a really good slot receiver. Again, I really like Dortch, but maybe a guy that's just an elevated version of that.
Yeah, you know, you could run on a platform, and I would vote for you. I don't know what office, what seat, but the first game of the season, you got people complaining about Kyler Murray. They're using a screenshot. Look at him. He missed a wide open Marvin Harrison. Yeah, I loved how you came to his defense. How do you continue to evaluate Kyler, though, as his 2024 season as a whole?
I thought Kyler really grew a lot this year. I mean, there was a lot of times where I thought Kyler was playing top 5 MVP caliber football. So there was a lot of good stuff. He's got to get a better connection with Marv going. It's not a one-way street. It's not just Kyler, and it's not just Marv, and it's not just the play calling. That has to go to the next level, or they'll never either individually reach where they have to go. I thought Kyler did a really good job of, you know, throwing some guys open, playing in the rhythm of the pass game offense, not being totally reliant on his legs. And then he was still a special playmaker at the end of the game. So if Kyler can just improve that relationship with Marv and get it to the level that we see with a Jalen and A.J. Brown, a Joe and a Jamar, a Stafford and a Puka, you know, he will have a season that he hasn't had yet this year, and he's had some really, really good ones.
Why do you think, because you're clearly still a Marv guy, buying Marv stock, why do you think these other receivers like a Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors, the transition to the NFL was a little bit more seamless? You know, I've heard some narratives like they were spammed the football, they were on bad teams. You know, Marv is just a part of the Cardinal offense. Like, how do they mix, like, ensuring he gets targets, production, and helping them win games as a result?
Yeah, I think the stuff that I've heard about Marv is how good of a human being he is, how good of a kid he is. You want a little bit of a killer, you do. Like, Jamar's a killer. Neighbor's a killer. You know, those guys are wired. They got a little sauce to them. And so you want a little bit of that, Marv. Does that come with a comfort level? Does that come with the second year? Does that come with expectations? Honestly, does it come with a little bit of pressure? You know, and so the theme that when we were out there calling that Monday night game was, you know, sometimes there's the trying to be too perfect. You know, if you watch Neighbors' game this year, he was never trying to be perfect. Just get him. What's your route? Don't know. Throw it to me. You know, and so there is a little bit, and everyone's got to be their own. And Marv's a technician, and so he's just, getting to that comfort level of, you know, we say the word diva with some of these receivers, and sometimes it's always negative. Sometimes it's like, throw me the ball.
Yeah.
And so, and Kyler's, I remember calling the game and be like, Kyler, he's in the slot. There's the matchup. Throw it to him.
Yeah.
So Kyler's got to do his part as well.
Yeah. We were talking to the receiver coach, pretty 3/4 of the way through the season. He's like, I almost wish like Mike Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. were a little bit rude. Like they're great leaders, right, for that room. But I just wish they would just say, throw me the damn ball every once in a while.
Don't care what the coverage is, and there. Can he get there? That'll probably be the big challenge. I think the answer is yes. I don't know Marvin like that, but there are. We had Andre Johnson. I played with Andre Johnson in Houston. He never said anything. He's as good a human being as there on the planet. But there are times where he would be, Shabby would tell me the stories and he'd be like, Andre just told me to throw it to him, so I did. We had that with Calvin. I played with Calvin. Calvin, nicest person on the planet, sweetest human being in the world. Throw me the ball. Got it. You do that.
Myles Garrett making headlines here, really on Radio Row, asking for a trade. Would the Arizona Cardinals be a destination for him, do you think?
The day after it came out, they were one of my 5 teams, Now, one, because obviously the player that Myles is. 2, I also said, Cleveland's in search of a quarterback. I don't know what Arizona's long-term plans are with Kyler. Do they envision him as the guy? Do they not? If they didn't, then that's a trade partner. I would probably lean into still believing that Kyler is the guy, but I'm not the person making those decisions. Even if you don't, Monty's done a nice job. Myles isn't going to be cheap. What player and how many picks are you willing to get rid of? If you look at the teams that are obviously playing Sunday, Howie Roseman's last 4 drafts have been just stupid good.
Yeah.
He's 12 for 12 in his first 3 rounds. Kansas City's drafts have been sensational. I still believe in building through the drafts. You don't want to just say, give up the farm.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's you can get yourself in trouble on that.
I mean, the big issue and what we keep on running into, if you were to pivot off Kyler, like, what do you do in the interim? Like, do you go out? I mean, because the free agent class, it's not very good. The draft class doesn't seem like it's materializing like you would want.
Yeah, it's always about, and again, I wouldn't be an advocate of it. I still think that Kyler is just starting to scratch the surface. But a lot of it is, organizations, they find a guy in the draft and you go, we can get him in the 2nd round and he's a lot cheaper and we could take it in. There's philosophies. Every organization has their philosophy. So, they're in a division with the team that was a Super Bowl contender year in, year out, where the guy was the last pick of the draft. They're in a division with the
Rams aren't going anywhere.
Correct. But they're also Seattle. Gino's a 2nd round pick.
Yeah.
He obviously not having the success. He's having a lot more now, but it's all what their viewpoint is with who they are at quarterback and do they think they can get better cheaper.
What's your assessment of Jonathan Gannon? You just mentioned heavy hitters coaching-wise in the NFC West.
Man.
Yeah.
I liked him.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
I liked him. I didn't have any expectation. I had heard stuff about him before we had, again, the Monday night game, and we talked with them, and, every time you have the opportunity to talk with these coaches, you make a judgment.
Mm-hmm.
You do. It's natural. And I remember getting we did a Zoom because I was doing college football, and I was like, I really like this dude.
Yeah.
He was straightforward, honest, kept it a buck, didn't sugarcoat stuff. And he came up to me before the game, and he was like, we got to take the air away from their offense, and, and it seems like the guys resonated with them. So, I liked him. I know some people, specifically Philly people, maybe not be the biggest fans, but I liked him.
I mean, JG it seems like he brings the juice, the enthusiasm. Obviously, it helps him kind of lead and rebuild that culture in Arizona. As they go into year 3, when you look at this offseason, what's the best option for the Cardinals to really kind of upgrade their roster? The 16th overall pick, is it through the draft, or is it maybe going after somebody aggressively in free agency?
Yeah, I still believe the draft, as long as you do it well. And I think Monty, has got some marks. You say, okay, this guy might not stink at this type thing. So I still think it's the draft. Defensively, I mentioned the corner position.
We're big on edge.
Yeah, maybe edge. I was just going to say maybe an edge rusher. And then offensively, the interior of their offensive line was pretty darn good last year. Again, I think, when you got McBride, if you could get a slot option person, then you go 4 guys that are really good players. So it's a roster that makes you feel a little bit more encouraged than it did 2 years ago.
You mentioned McBride. He was on our set earlier.
He's a freak.
Superstar. Where do you put him in tight end hierarchy? Is he number 1 next year, maybe? I mean, in terms of an ascending player, Kelsey's been great. Kittle's been great. on the other side of 30.
Ascending, you would have to put him at number 1, ascending at the tight end position. I'm trying to think of another young guy that you go, yep, he's him. I like Ferguson from Dallas.
Bowers is good.
Bowers as well. McBride reminds me of a young Shockey, man. He's got that little mother joker edge to him. And he's one of those guys, I guarantee he gets in the huddles and throw it to me.
Yeah.
So
he is. Yeah.
I think he's a superstar, man. He's an awesome player.
Well, we'll end it with this since we're just we're going to rank a little bit. Your forte, the quarterback position. Where do you currently have Kyler in the landscape of NFL QB?
Kyler, I would probably place in that, that top 12 to 14 world, teetering on it. If he plays consistently, he's probably in your top 10. And if he, has an injury or two around him and maybe gets a little bit uncharacteristic, he's probably in that 15 to 16 world. So, but again, I had him at times this year top 5, and so I still think that Kyler, and I've been hard on Kyler in the past, I still think this year is a little bit of the scratching the surface of what maybe is the foundation building for his future.
Can Kyler be a top guy? He's a top guy for us. Dan Orlovsky, ESPN. Can't wait for this weekend's matchup. Thank you, Dan.
Pleasure, guys.
We've got great interviews coming with our guy, Nick Wright. How about Adam Thielen talking about that Cardinals-Carolina game, but more what he knows about Drew Petzing from their Vikings days and Donovan McNabb. All coming up, PHNX Cardinals.
Nick Wright, Colt Cannabis is going to get you right with our friends at True Leave. Right now, they're available at your local True Leave. Is Colt Cannabis with a huge variety of premium flower. It's Thursday. You know what that means. Deal of the day with our friends at Colt Cannabis at your local neighborhood True Leave. These 2 Colt jars for just $70, $35 a jar. Steal of a deal. We love Colt Cannabis and we love True Leave. To get over to trueleave.com, find a local dispensary in your area. Run out, get these jars before they sell out. I'm told they sell out like same day, especially on these kind of deals. So be sure to check them out. I got somebody back in the Valley. They'll take care of your boy, and check out the new True Leave local opening in Maricopa. And I have not been back yet. I got to check out the new location.
You're not allowed back.
When I go back, it's like a fanfare, right? It's like here, but in Maricopa. It's a parade. It's a festival, and I'm going to go back and see my friends at True Leave. But I can check them out right now. TrueLeave.com. Find your local shop or place an order and tell them PHNX sent you.
Cult Cannabis, True Leave, what a collaboration. What a collaboration. Maybe some cannabis in some pizza or anytime. It's the right move for some pizza. Spanatos.
One of my favorites.
You love Spanatos. Valley loves Spanatos. Of course, it's been the official pizza of the Phoenix Suns. They got their watch parties featuring the Phoenix Suns dancers and the Gorilla. Also, they've been doing a little basketball horse contest, but they're spelling it Pizza instead of horse. Both parties and contests give fans a chance to win free tickets to the Suns and free pizza. Love what's going on with Spanatos and their fandom as far as the Phoenix Suns. Go out there and show off your jumper and get some free Suns tickets while you're at it. It's a staple in the Brack household. Me, my wife, my son will get him a little small cheese pizza. And my wife, we're going to get the spicy Italian, and we know it's going to be delivered right to our door in a real speedy fashion. We're going to get that delicious pizza to shove into our pie holes. We love Spanatos Pizza. You'll love it as well. Check them out right now. Get all the info on the pizza and the basketball contest. SpanatosPizzeria.com. That's SpanatosPizzeria.com.
Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. The goal is 40 diehards this week. We want to welcome all of our new diehards for PHNX Cardinals, PHNX Sports. If you haven't checked them out already, Fran Duffy, who just said it, out of New Orleans, will be at the Combine. His breakdown is unparalleled right now.
It's like, this is fun, but I got to get back to
the grind.
Yeah, got to grind some tape on these draft prospects.
Some people, like a certain mock drafter from ESPN, they kick their feet up and they just do the bare minimum. Not our guy, Fran Duffy. He's on the constant grind here for PHNX Sports. All City. And speaking of PHNX Cardinals, if you're watching with one of our phenomenal streaming partners, head on over to gophnx.com, become a diehard, pick up a free hat and or shirt. We saw Trey McBride, the branded Bills, the connection there. You can get that and more. Become a diehard. Gerald Bourguet, nobody working harder on the written side of things with his definitive breakdown of the Suns trade deadline, a bust of a deadline, if you will. And if you haven't seen that already, by the way, Nick Wright with Bo Brack breaking it down on PHNX Suns earlier today.
Do I know basketball? Do I know hoop?
Little D-backs conversation when Corbin Burns got signed. Now on over to PHNX Suns.
You're the Isaiah Simmons of this podcast. You just do everything Do you do it well?
Poorly?
Mediocre remains to be seen. But you have your hands kind of in everything.
You could have said something like really nice there, but instead you decided to be
it could have been like the utility man.
Yeah.
You know, hey, any position we need him in.
Yeah.
No.
Jack of all
Isaiah
trades
Simmons comparison.
I did my best troll job. And speaking of troll job, I don't think he means to come off this way, but Nick Wright, friend of the program now, he talked to you about Suns.
You did this in secret.
Yeah, because Nick was like, Johnny, let's just Bo's over there. Let's just take care of this. No, Bo is predisposed. Then I talked to Nick about Cardinals, and then Bo talked to Nick about Suns because I flubbed it up and didn't ask a Kevin Durant question, which, sorry, I was so locked in to the Arizona Cardinals. Sorry. Shame on me. Mm-hmm. But anyway, here's Nick Wright in all seriousness of FS1. Phenomenal guy. Here's his breakdown of K1 and what the Cardinals should do at quarterback.
Catch up with Nick Wright here in just a bit. As you said, I was able to talk a little hoop. I'm a hoop head.
What did Nick say to you specifically? That the Suns really blew it?
No, I asked him. I said, did they fumble the trade deadline? He's like, no, actually, they probably did the best that they could. Instead of just racking up more charges on their credit card, it was time to maybe put it back in the wallet and just try to,
They need to be where the Cardinals were a couple of years ago. They need their vegetables.
They
need to eat their vegetables. We need to eat this Nick Wright clip. Let's check it out. Fox Sports analyst Nick Wright joining us from the Super Bowl. And we're based out of Phoenix. We're based out of Arizona. Kansas City Chiefs have their quarterback situation handled.
Yes.
What's your take on Kyler Murray? 6-4 pre-bye, post-bye, seemingly every year. Things kind of go awry. Are you a K1 believer?
Honestly, the audience probably didn't want to hear it. Not really. What I would do, if someone brought me in as like, run the Cardinals, I would call Pittsburgh and be like, hey, you want to give me a couple first-round picks? And we can kind of reboot it, because I think Gannon's sharp.
Yeah.
And I think Kyler's in a spot where he's paid like a star, not quite a star. Pittsburgh probably would do it because they just need someone that's not a bridge quarterback. And I'd try to reboot it. That's probably not going to happen. So then what you do is you hope that you get the right personnel on defense. Kyler can have a start and finish excellent year, which he hasn't had in a while, and see if, what's tough about Kyler is at his best, it's like, oh, he should be awesome, and it doesn't feel like that guy is going to be there week in, week out.
It's comparable in a lot of ways to there's a ceiling, right? Like Alex Smith with Kansas City, but you can't luck into a Mahomes like that. What do you think about the Cardinals taking a quarterback and developing him behind?
So I don't dislike that at all. And that's kind of the rationale behind if you flip him and then you have the extra picks, the extra capital if you wanted to move up, like those different things. Like it's not like an indictment like this guy stinks. He obviously doesn't stink, but is there a realistic scenario where when he's off his rookie contract, which he is, and paid like he is, that team's going to be able to get all the pieces and do it? I just think probably not. So I think the idea of drafting a quarterback and hoping to develop him and then the Chiefs then did flip Alex, got a good draft pick for him. I think that's probably the path.
Real quickly, Trey McBride, is he the heir apparent to Travis Kelce? Is the best tight end in the NFL?
Well, he was excellent. Brock Bowers going to have something to say about that. Brock Bowers might already. But Trey McBride's excellent. Some great young tight ends, because Laporta's excellent, Trey McBride's excellent, and I don't think a lot of people know Trey nationally, but he's excellent. Bowers is special though. There's an argument that he tonight should win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's not going to, Jaden will, but there's an argument for him. But yeah.
Quickly, Marvin Harrison Jr., your take on him?
I thought it was insane that there was a debate coming out of. There was a small debate should Neighbors or Dune whatever, and I thought it was Marvin. I think it's probably fair to say a little disappointing rookie year because of the expectation, but I still think the guy's going to be a superstar. After 1 year of pro football, I still kind of care more about your draft profile than I do the 1 year, and so I thought he was good this year, not eye-popping, but I know he's one of the most talented kids to ever come out of school, so he'll be great.
Nick Wright stirring up controversy like only he can.
Nobody's fired up in the chat about that, right?
I'll tell you what, though. We posted some of that on Twitter, and a lot of people are like, I like those ideas. I think a lot of those are probably anti-K1 people. But listen, that's authentic. He's authentic there.
It's just like we were talking about with Orlovsky, though. It's like you get 2 steps into this and you realize, okay, well, where you go from there?
Can I ask you a question that I don't think we've talked about lately? Like, are the Cardinals in quarterback purgatory right now?
No.
With Kyler Murray?
No.
But you know what I mean by that?
I do. Like, if he plays most of next season and it looks exactly it's a carbon copy, then yes, you can say that. But there is the ability for him in this offense to take the next step, and it's important. It's imperative that he does. But to sit here and say like, okay, well, you just try to just cash in right now, where do you go? Like you take the 2 like middle to the back end of the first round picks, and then you get up and you take one of these quarterbacks, or you try to find like a bridge guy.
Yeah, I mean. And we've got a great interview with Louis Riddick that's going to drop tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he gets into this, and it's like, I just feel like at the end of the day, unless they fall in love with a guy that's in like the second tier behind like a Cam Ward or Shador, like this is not the offseason to pivot off Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
And I think even Kyler's staunchest critics agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Kyler Murray can get you to the playoffs. Kyler Murray has shown that. But again, like, I think it's okay to be skeptical about like what's the ceiling with him right now. Like and I think that was the point Nick was trying to make. Yeah. Is that when he's obsessed with the Chiefs and Mahomes, and that's his team, and good for him. Like that's how he would view a playoff one and done as an indictment of Mahomes. We're trying to at least get back to that point with Kyler Murray, where like he's playing on the opening weekend, a wild card round, or winning the NFC West, God forbid. And so, we all have different expectations. That's why, like, a team that doesn't have a franchise quarterback would happily take Kyler Murray on. So Cardinals are, as Orlovsky broke it down, they're in like this 8 to 16 range of quarterback play on any given Sunday.
But I don't feel like he's going to be in that position where he becomes like the Carson Wentz, where the play continues to fall off.
I don't think so
I think that there's more of a potential for it to get back up. You're going to see an uptick in production. Just based on the skill set, the personnel that he's going to be surrounded by. Something we glossed over. We didn't gloss over. We've just been so jam-packed today. When we talked about Trey and this team taking the next step, beefing up the offensive line.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Getting an edge rusher, like what you were saying at the end of the season, creating more opportunities for this offense by playing great defense. And then also, Kyler, just that protection even getting better than it was this year, an offensive line that only surrendered 30 sacks.
The worst kept secret right now is the Cardinals are going to pursue a big name left guard.
Yeah.
And we broken that on our show. Trey's clearly hearing that. Like, it would have been easy for Trey to sit here and say, like, respectfully, like, Evan Brown's coming back. We're just running back. We're going to go out and we're going to beef up the offensive line. What does that mean for Jonah Williams? What does that mean for Will and Evan Brown? I don't know. But, like, Isaiah Adams, Yeldefro, Hope Paris, those guys are starters next year. They got openings at left guard and right tackle.
We talked to a quarterback out here who did a lot with less during his Philly days. Made his way to 4 NFC Championship games,
4 in a row, I think,
one Super Bowl for Donovan McNabb.
Not really a dual threat guy though.
Definitely a dual threat guy. Definitely a guy that can get in his
debatable.
That is your age talking, my friend.
Yeah.
McNabb could move in his early days.
I'm not saying he can't move. Go look at his stats rushing, Johnny.
I feel like he moved to throw though. Like he had some Big Ben in him where his mobility was underrated.
Go talk to the PHLY guys. They'll set you straight on.
Big Ben, not a dual threat guy as well though.
Damon,
just because you can move in the backfield doesn't mean you were running the football.
All right, air the clip. Air it.
Out here, Radio Row, Donovan McNabb, of course, Valley resident, hanging out with us here on Super Bowl Radio Row. Donovan, Kyler Murray, interesting season, 21 total touchdowns, over 600 yards on the ground. What did you see from K1 this season?
Healthy. I've seen something that's positive. Everybody's kind of coming down on him. The combination and the chemistry that he and Marvin Harrison Jr. will have going forward will be big for this offense. I think also with Connor, and if they go and get him a younger running back to be able to aid, because Connor has carried this team for the last couple of years. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that now propels this offense into the next stratosphere. But they have great potential. I think Kyler has shown that he can be their starting quarterback, and so I look forward to great things happening.
Do you feel like we put unrealistic expectations on Marvin Harrison Jr. and as he's coming in the league?
Of course. Well, I think what happens is, with what happened with Malik Neighbors and the numbers that he put up, but you put up numbers like that and your team is awful. It's that. And so I think more for the expectations for anybody coming in as a top 5 pick, it's very high. And, not everybody's going to have kind of a Jaden Daniels type of season. But for Marvin Harrison, I think if you look at his numbers, it's funny. He's got pretty much the same numbers his dad had when he was drafted. And that was playing with Peyton. Yeah. And so there's great things that are ahead. And so I'll be anxious to see how the next 4 years go. Yeah. What? My bad.
You're good.
My bad.
No worries. So
you don't like Princess Fit?
Oh my God!
Get it on camera.
That's that Alvin and the Chipmunks look.
So is it? You feel like it's playoffs or bust for the Cardinals next year? Like they've done 2 years of the rebuild. Now year 3 with Jonathan Gannon.
Hey.
Postseason?
I would say yes because I lived out there, just to give everybody at ease. I think they can compete definitely in the West. They can compete in the West. So I think the Rams are kind of trying to figure it out, especially with the decision of Matthew Stafford. San Fran's trying to figure it out with the injuries that they have. So they got a chance. Playoffs. So I'll say playoffs.
Donovan McNabb saying playoffs. Donovan McNabb, by the way, also very pro Kyler and Marv. Yeah. And I loved his take because I agree with it. Spamming targets to a rookie skill player, while they're impressive, does skew the notion a little bit. You span Marvin Harrison Jr. a few more targets, he gets over 1,000 yards. Yeah, I will die on that hill.
Yeah, 885 this season. He had 64 catches and the 8 touchdowns. Yeah, you just saw. I think that you saw the quality of opportunity go up, especially in the red zone. You were able to see Kyler and Marv kind of connect more in the money area. Can they get it going? Between the 20s next season, and it's not going to be spamming, but you are going to see an uptick as far as opportunities.
I think it should be spamming. I think respectfully, you shouldn't be able to exit a game if you're Drew Petzing without Marv having 8 targets.
Yeah, look, email blast.
Yeah,
just email blast.
Yeah. Speaking of Drew Petzing,
hey,
perfect segue.
And wide receiver play.
Yeah, and wide receiver play. We chatted with Cardinals killer this year, Carolina Panthers wide receiver Adam Thielen. Real quick before this interview happens. Mo said after the interview, he's like, "Hey, thanks, Adam," and he's like, "Love beating the Cardinals this year."
Yeah,
it was
like, "Hold me back." No, he was a great guy.
Disgusting.
It was, but yeah, Adam Thielen.
He was super nice, though.
He was. Yeah. Took time to chat with us about his former position coach, Drew Petzing. Here's the standout wide receiver in Carolina.
You always love who you can find out here at Radio Row Super Bowl in New Orleans. How about Adam Thielen ripped our hearts out into the Cardinals season just a couple weeks ago. But Adam, what did you see from Marvin Harrison Jr. on the other side of the field? I mean, did you see an up-and-coming superstar?
Yeah, I think so. I think a guy who has all of the abilities to do everything, right? To run routes, to play the deep ball, and then also be physical and, get those tough catches and contested catches. So, yeah, he's got all the potential. Obviously, it's a tough league to just come in and have success. So it might take some time, but he's going to be a great player and just got to find a way to get it done.
A lot of people probably don't know you've got ties with a lot of the Cardinals' current coaching staff. Jonathan Gannon, of course, his time in Mini, but Drew Petzing, the Cardinals' current offensive coordinator. What have you seen from Drew? He had an opportunity to interview for a head coaching job with the Bears this offseason. Was, of course, with the Vikings with you. You remember your time with Drew? What stood out to you?
Yeah, I actually spent quite a bit of time with Drew. He was pretty much in the organization from my second year to maybe my 7th year, something like that, 8th year. So quite a few years together. He actually 1 year was the receivers coach, so I spent a lot more time with him there. But yeah, a guy who just really understands the game. Been in a lot of different systems through those years in Minnesota, which I think is great for these offense coordinators to have a lot of different background in different systems, not just like, oh, this is the only system I know, this is what I do. So I think he's got a really good ability to okay, I'm going to put my system together, kind of use some of the great pieces of different systems, put it together into my system. And you can tell that he's done that in Arizona.
Do you feel like his scheme is receiver friendly? based on your experience? Because there's, Cardinals offense runs through the tight end. There's a lot of running backs, and I think, not our concern in Arizona, but just kind of the feedback is let's get the receivers a little bit more involved.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's friendly or not friendly to receivers. I would say it's his philosophy is a balanced attack. We got to run the football. We got to be physical. And when you're doing that, a lot of times off of that is going to be things to the tight end, right? So it might look like they're trying to get the tight end the ball, but I think it just naturally happens when you run the ball, play action, keepers. You're probably going to find those tight ends in the flat and things like that. But yeah, I think it's an offense that he's only going to keep progressing. He's a guy that's not going to just like, okay, this is what I do, I'm stuck in it. He's a guy that wants to get better. He wants to find ways to be a more explosive offense. And I think once he kind of gets those skill guys to understand the philosophy and like this is what we're going to do and we're going to have success doing it, he'll have success with those receivers. He was around a guy, Norv Turner, who had, what was his name? Josh Gordon, who led the league in receiving yards. So, and Drew was with him there. So, and then in Minnesota. So, he knows how to get the receivers the ball if he needs to.
Incredible insight. Man made way too many big catches against the Cardinals back in December. But Adam Thielen, thank you so much for your time, man.
Thanks, guys.
And then he had the dagger to my heart, as you mentioned. Loved beating the Cardinals.
Smug look from Thielen. Smug Thielen. Thielen, who legitimately people thought, is this guy going to retire? He's like, I'm going to retire the Cardinals today. Their postseason chances. And then the Cardinals abruptly made some swift moves on their defensive side after the year. Everybody drop a like in this video. The goal, of course, 500 likes here on a football Thursday. Easily the most loaded day that we've had in 3 years covering this show in terms of guests on Radio Row. And it doesn't stop. We have, what do you call it, holstered some interviews for tomorrow. We've got more live interviews that we're going to be doing. But what stood out to you, the common theme of the conversations that we had? Because it is funny, like outside of the players that we know, the stalwarts for the Cardinals, like a McBride, where you can get a little bit more intimate, we do find ourselves, and you guys have probably noticed this, asking similar questions to all these national people because that's the take that we want. What's the common consensus that you've heard with all the Cardinal subjects?
Especially when you look at the quarterback position, I think that the nuanced combo that you and I have been having, since the post-bye struggles showed up and the Cardinals fell short of getting into the postseason, and it was, Kyler Murray was front and center.
Yeah.
That when you talk to a lot of people, it's similar conversation. He's got the ability. We've seen it on display. He's got to be able to get it done in crunch time. He's got to be able to figure out how to buck this narrative that he can't play well at the end of the season. But as far as what they've seen, he does possess it.
Yeah.
He's just got to do it more consistently. That's really what I get. Like, you don't dare consider moving off outside of, Nick Wright. And I think he's looking for, a different angle on it. But I think consistently from Mina Kimes to Dan Orlovsky to Kurt Warner, like, things are close. But, you don't want them to stay close. You don't want the Cardinals, especially Kyler Murray, to end his tenure with untapped potential.
You have to, and I agree with all that, and I would echo that you have to raise expectations. One of the themes, directly or indirectly, that I feel like I heard this week was, hey, the Cardinals surprised me last year. They won 8 games, right? I still don't think very much of their roster, but they overachieved, and I think that's where you get a lot of praise for Jonathan Gannon and everything we hear about JG, both from our relationship with him and everybody externally, is great guy, has everything you want, the intangibles, has an opportunity to take this team to the next level. But you need to raise the expectations consistently for this team on the national stage. Like, we're sitting here and we're talking about playoffs or bust, right, in 2025. Okay, what happens if you make the playoffs and then you don't win a Super Bowl? Are we going to go into another rebuild? That's what you can't have happen.
Right.
We need to be having this conversation about the Cardinals every year where it's like the Suns right now. Hey, we're in the playoffs. We need to be contenders every year. What does that look like? And as much as I want to be Team Myles Garrett, and I still think there's an avenue to do that where it makes sense long-term for the health of your roster, the best way, and you heard Orlovsky say this, and Riddick echoes it tomorrow, this team needs to keep hitting on their draft picks. They need to keep taking triples and doubles on the Max Meltons and the Paris Johnson Juniors so that we can go into seasons every year hey, the floor's 7 wins, the ceiling's 11 to 12, right? I mean, that's a big reason why the Minnesota Vikings were able to withstand losing their rookie quarterback because they had a roster to support Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
These all-in seasons that we're about to broach usually end up in flames, either during the season or after the season, where this is not sustainable. I want to come here every year for the Super Bowl. I want the Cardinals to be playing in it, first of all. But I want to be coming every year. We're talking about, the Cardinals, oh, man, that was a great playoff game. Next year, take the next step, right? I don't want to be talking about rebuilds anymore. I don't want to be talking about, hey, the Cardinals surprised me. They were a feisty team. It's like, no, I want players like Trey McBride that everybody knows, that are homegrown, that are stars, that can grow and develop within the city and the culture of the Valley for 10-plus years. And you don't get that, fair or not, by signing J.J. Watt at 30 years old or trading for Myles Garrett at 30 years old. So I go back and forth on this because I am thirsty, Bo, for a playoff spot like everybody else.
No, and I think that what they've done, though, in a lot of credit to the organization and its new direction under Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon, is multiple pathways to find the next step, to get to the next level.
Yep.
And they've been very transparent that they're a draft and develop team, but then there's, your own reports from earlier this season that they were looking for a big-time pass rusher.
Yeah.
And they understand that until they get that, they're going to be limited as far as what they can do defensively and creating opportunities more for this offense. There are multiple pathways. And, you can get carried away and you can look at Myles Garrett. And I don't think you should turn your nose up at that because I think you sniff around. And if the price is right and you can make a deal, you heavily consider it. But at 16, with this pass rush class, you've got a very good opportunity to get a guy locked in for half a decade at a premium position that's going to be finally kind of start to be the solution to that need.
Yeah, I think there's just too enticing, this first-round group, this pass rush group, top 40 players. And I think the Cardinals need to go out in free agency and just get the best available guys and make it work. Like, the Cardinals roster is not good enough to say no to a Trey Smith. The Cardinals roster is not good enough to say no to a top defensive lineman available, a right tackle if they become available. Like, go out. Don't be in the middle tier. Be at the front of the line to get these guys. Because that's what it's going to take. You need blue chippers. You need best available. We have enough, middling parts, right? We have enough guys that can help you fill out a roster, right? But they need top-end talent. We've got top-end talent here with us every single day from Radio Row. Bo, it was a banner day. Big thanks to everybody who jumped on the pod. Damon, Dawg, let's get to those super chats, my guy.
Let's do it. Before I start with these super chats, I just want to say we're at 82 likes right now. Given the show we had today, I would be very disappointed if that number was not 100 by the end of these handful of super chats that we have here.
I know.
Let's get it to 100.
Yep, absolutely. We appreciate everybody watching. If you're watching on Twitter, jump on over to the YouTube page, by the way. That would help us exponentially.
Jump in there, hit the like on the video, and of course subscribe to PHNX Sports. We've got great content that continues beyond this banner show, and also we've got interviews that if you missed them, from Trey McBride to Kurt Warner to Donovan McNabb to Nick Wright, it's all going to be on our YouTube page. But let's get to our friends that are getting into the show via super chat.
We just got 10 more in that little spiel there, so let's get 7 more, and we hit our goal there. Joey Kennedy, $4.99. I'd wager Nick Wright has watched less than 2 Cardinals games this year, and if it was an available market on Bet365.
I love Nick Wright, though. I know,
sweetheart.
Can I tell you something right now about Nick Wright? He's a super nice guy. He agreed to talk to me on a whim. He's met with ALLCITY, and then when I flubbed up not asking about Kevin Durant, Bo grabbed him, and he did a couple minutes with Bo. So regardless of how you feel about him with his takes, he's a super grounded guy. Super grounded, accommodating to anybody, all walks of life, and just loves to talk ball. He's got an elite flow, too. You see it on TV, and I don't think it does it justice. His
you
hair.
Think that's elite?
I do, yeah. I'm a hair connoisseur. I think I'm allowed to answer that.
Just because you
I agree with that.
No, I mean,
Johnny can answer to that.
I mean, just because he has a good head of hair himself.
Yeah.
I mean,
you think Nick Wright's hair is gross?
You're kind of like here's I'm gonna give you a lot of.
You're coming at my guy, bro.
This is gonna be very respectful.
Yeah.
It's like Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've got an elite.
Wow.
Set of hair.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Michael Jordan, as far as like talent evaluator, terrible.
I'm Michael Jordan with the Hornets. You're evaluating Nick Wright's
You're,
hair.
you're Wizards. You're drafting Kwame Brown, Michael Jordan with that evaluator hair because it's not good.
I mean, it came out of nowhere. Like, just dating back to it, I brought it up to you, Bo. Like, he was buzz cut guy.
Yeah.
And just out of nowhere, just showed up with a full head of lettuce.
Yeah.
Kind of respect that.
It's wild. But you know what?
That's his best look right there.
What, the shaved head?
No, he's just got it high and tight.
No, I like.
Yeah, that's the best version of Nick Wright.
No, he's got it's a look, right? It's an ambiance where it's the hair, the suit, which is loud, and then he's got his gold rings. I'm into it. I like the look.
I'm into it too. It's confidence.
Yeah, Bo doesn't understand.
Too clearly, $4.99. Just great shows and content this week. A lot off
man.
the talking heads seem to be leaning toward moving on from Kyler. Who's going to replace him, Russ?
Barf.
Yeah.
The interview.
Justin Fields, maybe?
The interview with Louis Riddick is probably the best encapsulation. This is a tease for tomorrow on Kyler Murray and his status with the team. And we could have talked to Louis Riddick for an hour.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. But, like, Louis Riddick basically, in not so many words, says Kyler has everything physically that you need to win a Super Bowl. But it's some of those intangibles that we can't physically get him over the hump. Like, what does he need to do to get himself over the hump? That's the toughest part, right? Like, with a lot of, like, Joe Burrow, it's like, just stay healthy. And with Sam Darnold, it's like, just stop turning the ball over. So we did this year. It's like, Kyler Murray, we need you to make more plays after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We are now one like away.
Wow. I like all of you now.
I think we need to set a new
an off
goal.
air like goal. That was more the live goal.
Yeah.
But I mean, we got to hit 250 on this show minimum.
I agree with that.
Big Crack in the back. He's here. He says, "Happy Crack-iversary, everybody! Go Cardinals!"
We did identify the
butt crack man,
anonymous man.
I'll never forget.
He was wandering around here. That last year was in the background of PHNX sports coverage from Vegas, with a full butt crack on display behind me.
You think he was doing it on purpose?
No, that was.
But you didn't.
He was oblivious to that.
Why didn't somebody go tell him? Like, hey, bro, your butt crack's out.
Saul did, and then it came out again.
I think that it's on purpose.
You think? Did Saul really say, "Hey, man"?
He like tapped on his shoulder and was like, "Hey, dude. Hey, our camera's picking up some extracurriculars that you don't want to be a part of."
Hey,
and then he was like, "I really appreciate that." And then about 20 minutes later, it swept back down. I didn't even need to see his face, Bo. I recognize him from the backside.
The GM was like, "Hey, crack kills, man."
The blow Brock in the chat. I can't. That's the kind of stuff I need. Give me life here. Keep going, Damon.
Let's keep it going. PR Mac $2. Cards fan for life. When are we going to be back to the Super Bowl?
We walk around here. We were walking around last night. There's so much fanfare ambiance with the two teams that are here, and it's gross. It's the same flipping teams every year. But it's like, I couldn't even comprehend doing this with the Cardinals in the game.
Yeah, you see our guys from PHLY. I mean, they're going to the pressers. There's
just another week in the office, checking boxes.
They do a phenomenal
job.
I said the same thing. I was like, imagine you're here and your team is in the Super Bowl.
Couldn't imagine it. I like it. 2008 was so long ago. Clearly, we weren't covering the team professionally. Like, you'd have to go and talk to some of the older stalwarts in the media, like the Ken Summers of the world. Like, what was that like? But like, I cannot imagine with all the fanfare that's gone on here.
Yeah.
And because who would be brought in? You bring in Cardinal legends. I mean, it would be unbelievable. Kurt Warner would hold court like the entire week.
Yeah.
So yes, it would be unbelievable. We deserve that. Like, Cardinal fans deserve to have their moment in the sun, being in Super Bowls, winning Super Bowls. Like, that goes without saying.
It's long overdue. Long overdue.
Connor Schroyer, $199. What about Jeff Simmons or a Derek Brown trade?
So going interior, go defensive line. I like it. You know, do you get more? Do you flip them somebody from your roster? Does that make more sense?
Are you hinting at Jalen Thompson here?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But like, do you give them a young, controllable player? Like, can you incorporate a Dante Stills? Are you willing to part with one of your defensive linemen on your roster, including a pick, but not nearly as high of a pick for a guy like Jeffrey Simmons or the kid Brown from the Carolina Panthers. So yeah, I think that there are multiple avenues to improving that defensive front seven, and you're going to have to do it. Who was it that said like this is a multiple year thing?
It was somebody tapped into the draft scene.
Yeah.
I think it was, I can't remember. We
But
talked to so
you
many
just
people.
can't. You gotta chip. Like you gotta take massive swings at that thing and really make some headway as far as your defensive front seven.
Derek Brown's coming off a major injury, and Justin Simmons was kind of banged up at the end of the year. But I just worry about the financial commitments you made to Blau Nichols and Justin Jones.
That's why I'm saying you probably send somebody that to Tennessee's way or Carolina's way.
Yeah.
Just because it's then it's a logjam, and it's just like, well, you don't.
We're on the same page though that those two guys on the roster should not behoove them from making
No.
another move.
No.
Josh Espada, 199, says, did you guys ask Trey to do that Brandon Bills ad read?
No, he was here on behalf of Brandon Bills.
He's just a passionate individual when it comes to the best hats in the business.
Yeah, he loves Brandon Bills. He was just like, we had a lot of conversation off air, and he was just riffing about Brandon Bills and riffing.
The elites tend to draw toward the elites. So PHNX Cardinals, Brandon Bills, Trey McBride, Brandon Bills, PHNX Cardinals, Gila River, Patrick Peterson, Gila River. I mean, that's not a mistake, guys.
Yeah.
Next one comes from Josh, $5. Would the Cards look to trade for Hendrickson, which could cost less? He doesn't seem happy, especially after being stiffed by the Bengals.
Well, Joe Burrow is here and is making the Bengals uncomfortable, like per reports. Like that's out here. He's going on all the shows and saying, I've heard that we're going to lock up Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Hendrickson. And like people are supposedly like, Joe hasn't heard anything like that, but he's putting pressure on Mike Brown, who is like people talk about. Like Mike Brown he's not Dan Snyder in terms of off the field, but he's the cheapest owner in the NFL. So like Trey Hendrickson, if he's available, hell yeah, you would want to pursue that. I don't think for a second that they're going to get all those guys taken care of. How could you think that?
Yeah, just wishful hoping, right?
Right.
But Trey Hendrickson, interesting, 30 years old. You would probably have to sweeten it up and extend him for the next couple seasons. And look, he would fit. And like when you're you're getting a little sticker, just kind of scared as far as the guys like Myles Garrett, Max Crosby could potentially be. Trey Hendrickson, I think you could get him for a day 2 pick, and then you'd have to just pay him.
Here's what I know about this draft is that the draft is not as star-studded as years prior, so I do think we're going to see a lot of veteran player movement for picks this year. That wasn't the case last year. I think that happens this year.
Shout out the chat. We did hit our like goal. Keep pumping those numbers up for the fellas here on a banner show for PHNX Cardinals. Didi in the chat, 199. JV showing off the hair, the flow.
I mean, I got it cut a couple weeks ago, and it was a topic of discussion. I was very embarrassed. And so I think I might keep it shorter for now. I tried to wear a Brandon Bills hat today and was told by Bo that was not a good idea. So
Bo's a big, and we've talked about this before, Johnny. If he sees you wearing anything similar to him, he's like, we can't do it. I would like me and you have the same quarter zip on right now. Bo wouldn't dare walk out of the
confidence
house.
in that.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's not a bit. This is who my co-host is. He's like, text me what you're wearing so I cannot wear the same thing. Like,
and
okay,
also like Johnny and I will be like, hey, you want to grab a beer after work? And Bo's always like, no, I can't. Sorry, I hate you guys.
Yeah.
I'm not your friend.
do you want to like watch the Super Bowl together? No, I don't want to do that.
Josh Espada, 199. Do you prefer Crosby or Garrett? I think Max.
I'll go the other way on that. I would go with Max. I'm sorry, I would go with Myles Garrett. He's just consistently been more as far as a sack artist. He's the guy. He's a defensive player of the year. I know he's a little bit older. Maybe you could get a little bit of a lesser of a price tag, even though they're both going to be really high. I'm taking Myles Garrett. I think he's a bigger war daddy than Max Crosby.
Max Crosby in a walking boot here. Max Crosby still concerned about the Raiders' direction, but he keeps talking up all the people involved. The Raiders have no plan. They have no quarterback. I just feel like if you're Max Crosby and you're like, the Raiders are going to do right by me and we're going to get on the right track, you need to pull the Myles Garrett approach. Like I can't believe that he hasn't done that yet because it's coming. Because nobody thinks the Raiders are going to be good. There is no reality in which the Raiders are good. They're in the most loaded division maybe of all time. They have no answer at QB. They're going to have to move up maybe to get one of these quarterbacks. They need assets. And you got a guy who's your best player who is still, a blue chipper that you can get picks for, and he's already banged up. Like, this is called football economics 101. These players will be dealt, folks. This is how it works. Hey, we have an aging player who's approaching 30 that can help us rebuild. Gone. You're gone. I should
He's 27. He's in his prime.
No. By the time the Raiders are good, he'll be gone. If the Raiders are ever good.
There's actually a lot of people, like reports that people are impressed by the new brain trust of
It's great.
Vegas.
Congratulations. I'm impressed by a lot of things. They're not winning the AFC West. Tom Brady, he's an impressive guy. Handling personnel, come on. Pete Carroll before Russell Wilson, trash. But under 500, just as I suspected, trash.
Look at these people. Bo's the father figure of the group. Bo's the designated driver.
And the tallest.
Oh, and Claymore Jones, yeah. Pointing out.
Just a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I listen, the Raiders, I love it when Johnny just at the end of a show, when he just picks snowballs some momentum
Just
and
unloads.
starts going at throats of organizations.
I think it comes from my place of watching mediocrity to ass football and our franchise holding on to players that can help expedite their rebuild. Steve Keim was once offered a first and a third and a player for Patrick Peterson at the deadline and said no. And the Cardinals were awful in the next couple of years. It would have helped reset the rebuild. Now, Keim would have burned those picks to the ground. But you know what I mean? Like you just have the foresight, guys. Turn your brain on. This is not like we see a lot of movement in the NBA, and it's like rearranging chairs on the deck of the Titanic. The NFL, it's the best league in the world, in my opinion, because reset your roster in 18 months. Look what the Commanders did. Change their franchise.
Last super chat here, at least for the time being, in case someone hits a buzzer beater. Terrence's Tidbits, we did get a buzzer beater. 199.
Yes.
Rookie edge at 17 or Myles Garrett plus picks.
16th overall. I really like I'm really coming around to taking one of these young pass rushers.
Too loaded in class. It's too good. It's the best position.
To lock them, because I think what you get the next couple seasons, you're going to think about it like having this pass rusher start to go towards his prime and hopefully play himself into a second contract after half a decade of play for this team on a rookie deal. It's going to age so much better than maybe going after one of these big time names.
There's four guys at edge rusher I would take right now at pick 16.
And I think you can really trust the evaluators on the coaching staff and hopefully, Monty and his staff to identify who's going to be the best fit, who's going to be the guy that's going to really kind of juice up this defense.
I think there's just something to be said, like, do the Cardinals need Myles Garrett? Yeah, no duh. Or Max Crosby or whomever. But would it also be like the most Cardinal thing ever, like trade for one of those players in a draft where that position is loaded and you can get one for cheap and you don't know and it's a roll of the dice, and I get that. I mean, like in a perfect world, you could have both, right? Because we've been of the mindset. They don't have two starters at edge rusher on their roster. Their players are not good enough. So you need both. But it's a chicken and the egg thing. You need 16 to get a pick or a player, but you also would have to trade it for Myles Garrett. It's a tough spot for Austin Ford to navigate.
So who's your guy right now as it stands? We're sitting here February 6th, just before the Super Bowl. Who is your tentative hold the line?
I mean, I think
everybody on this show.
All right, Damon, you go first. Who would you take best case scenario at pick 16?
Total best case scenario?
Yeah, like
semi-realistic or
like
I want Mason Graham. I mean, I don't think that's really going to happen, but I think there's a possibility in case he falls to 16.
I would go James Pierce Jr., the edge rusher from Tennessee, which I've seen his rating all over the place. I've seen him be top 10. I've seen him fall out of the first round. I mean, like Mike Green, the edge rushers out of Georgia, right? Do whatever you want. Pick whatever you want. I'm not going to have any issue with it.
I was gonna say James Pierce, but you stole mine. And I'm gonna continue to dig in on a guy like Jalen Walker.
I like that one too, Bo.
Yep, I think his versatility is great. I was talking to Fran Duffy about him today, and he was hearing all around. And you'll hear from Fran next week. His latest as far as draft insight, and there's really nobody better than Fran going right now. Is that you just have to look at Jalen Walker as a pure edge. That's how you look at him, with the ability to play off ball.
Okay. If Fran says it, I agree with it.
That'd be my number 2. Connor here, finishing us off, 199. Trade down and get Walter Nolan in a day 2 pick.
I think Walter Nolan's going to go ahead of the Cardinals. If not, like, I would take Walter Nolan at pick 16. Like, yeah, it'd be great if you could get more assets. I don't know if this is the year to trade down. I think there's going to be a really good player at 16. I could see Bo would trade down in the second round.
Yeah.
Like Austin Ford's traded down, 2 straight years in the second round? So make it 3 for 3. There's going to be a special front 7 player that can disrupt QBs at 16. I don't think you fudge with that.
And you can, in an ideal world, do you go sign a guard, draft at 16 an edge or a defensive lineman, and then whatever you then get in the second round? And
I think you have to add an edge in free agency too. I don't think we can.
Well, yeah, but that's what we see. Hassan Reddick is. I mean, that's what the caliber of signing that I think you could take. You could take a Hassan. You could take an Azeez Ojulari, like one of those guys. But like your main upgrade at the positions, that 16th overall pick,
long term.
Yeah.
But that's what the draft is, and that's what free agency isn't. It's short term.
Is there truth to that? You saw Ty Warren out here. Are you a big Ty Warren guy?
I haven't seen Ty Warren out here. No.
Oh, you haven't?
I'm a big Ty Warren guy.
I can't wait for a team to overdraft Ty Warren.
What do you think is overdrafting?
He's going to be like a fringe top 10 pick.
The last 2 seasons, I will say, the number 1 tight end drafted has gone on to be pretty much the best tight end in the league, indisputably. I mean, last year, Trey McBride, Brock Bowers, kind of a toss-up, but the year before, I think Sam Laporta probably was the best tight end in the league.
Tyler Warren's going to be good. I think. I mean, how do you watch him and not think he's going to be good?
I mean, but this is something for somebody who will not admit that Brock Bowers is good at football.
I think part of my animosity was the people were mocking.
First off, you shouldn't have any animosity that the guy
people
just
were
turned out
mocking the Cardinals to take Brock Bowers, and Trey McBride just had 1,000 yards. And I'm like, hey, turn your brain on, people. Then my own GM drafted a blocking tight end in the 3rd round. It was almost worse.
I'm not saying it's
worse than that.
It's a good call, but Elijah Higgins, he's a valuable player on the Cardinals. Imagine Brock Bowers in that role, just running 12 personnel constantly. I mean, that would be unbelievable.
Marv is going to be good. Everybody,
you take the ridiculous, Cardinals should have drafted him out of the conversation. He was still one of the best players in the draft last year.
Yeah, he is. But again, like Tyler Warren to a team that needs a tight end for sure is going to be good. But look at the Raiders; like they have a great tight end now, and then the rest of their team is awful. Where'd the Cardinals get Trey McBride in the 2nd round?
55th.
I mean, it's just that's great value. It's great for all of you. If you continue to like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. The goal again is 500 likes. Get 500 likes; it would mean so much. We've got, and I want to just give a big shout out to our team here at the Super Bowl and our team back in Phoenix. So the reason that this looks, in my opinion, so seamless, so smooth, so awesome on screen is because of all the people. We got a team here. Our guy Damon, of course, consistently grinding. Our head of production here, Shane Diefenbach, does a tremendous job. All of our people, Emma back in Phoenix doing our social work, right? All of our interns, everybody who's working their asses off to put on this kind of performance. Oh, by the way, our guys on PHNX Suns crushing it with their live show, their content. I mean, this is an ever-moving machine, and what you see on screen is only part of the equation. We've got social aspects. We've got segmented clips, vlogs, tweets, shorts. There's just tons of stuff that goes into all this, and we repurpose it all. So a single like and a subscribe does so much to help this keep going here because, I mean, frankly, we get to live our dream here every day.
Yeah, and the ultimate ability to really kind of give back to all the great behind-the-scenes work is become a diehard because you get even more access to what's going on here. Yep. She said she officially felt like part of the family, even though she was a big part of what we were doing and what this community is all about. I'm glad to have her as a diehard, and hopefully if you haven't done it already, pull the trigger at a great price right now, $48 for the year. You get that free T-shirt as well. Cash in a base that pays for almost the entire diehard membership for the year. You get access to the exclusive member Discord. It was raining in our restaurant last night. There was water pouring from the ceiling, and you got to see Johnny just putting down a big boy meal last night. That was unbelievable.
The full New Orleans experience, really.
It's so great that if you're on the Discord, you get to watch me eat my dinner, which I thought would be a private thing, but I guess it's public now. It's public consumption. Let's take a look. Dana's got another super chat here. Dana, knower of ball. I mocked trade down for Bowers, then Verse, and BTJ. That's about as good as it gets right there.
I think she's saying that those were the 3 people in order that she would have picked in a trade down. Not that all 3 of them ended up Cardinals.
We might, Monty Osborne might need to get Dana's number. We might need to facilitate that. I still listen. Everybody we talk to here, and you've seen it in the clips, and you'll see it tomorrow. People believe in Marvin Harrison Jr. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is just a part of an offense that has to evolve, and the evolution of that unit has to be making him a priority. Just like in Trey's interview, he said, "Well, I had 200 yards my rookie season." Trey McBride was flipping inactive by Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim in his first game. I remember walking into our studio sick to my stomach. I'm like, "Bo, what the hell is this? This has got to be a mistake." And then you know what? You're telling me right now Trey McBride wasn't one of the best players on the team in week 1, but it took the Cardinals to catch up until the end of the season, right? And then even JG's first year, Zach Ertz is getting more targets than Trey McBride. Sometimes coaches, and I love them, and Drew Petzing is a smart guy, they just don't know what's best for him, to do what's best for him. And I think that's the case with Marv. It's like, hey, guys, I know you're staunchly committed to your scheme and you love running the football. Maybe get number 18 involved. Yeah. Let's get some creativity. Let's move them around.
Can you dispel the rumor that it was your dinner last night was a grilled turkey dog?
No, it was a soft-shelled crab po' boy. So it's entire soft-shell crab, and then I got hush puppies for the table.
You had raw and grilled clams.
I did.
Or oysters, I'm sorry.
I did. I finished my entire food. I finished my hush puppies, and then I had a spicy marg. It was great.
You did.
And then I went back.
It was a special performance.
I wasn't expecting it. It kind of came out of nowhere. It's like when it's just like the 5th day. It's like middle August, and your starter takes the ball and then throws a perfect inning, perfect game.
I ate 9 hot dogs with you guys too. Like that also happened in under 3 hours. No one talks about that.
This last night was more of an important. It was more. It was a way better performance than you struggling through the 9999 challenge.
I had to fast for that, no doubt about it. We have our reservations at St. Elmo's in 3 weeks, where the retribution will be complete, and that storyline will be put to bed.
Somebody we saw at St. Elmo's last year, Louis Riddick. We didn't bring up that we were kind of like we were sitting at the table next to him, and we were just professional, and we just kind of let him enjoy his evening. We didn't bother him. Yeah.
Hey, and we're PHNX
Cardinals. Hey, we're in the same line of business, kind of.
It's like security. Hello, security.
Just one of your peers in the NFL game. But he came. As Johnny's been talking about, like Louis Riddick. This interview, one of the best we've been able to do here on Radio Row. We don't know what else is coming tomorrow. We're excited about seeing who's going to become available to us. Plus, we've got some great interviews that we already have locked in here out on New Orleans at Radio Row.
I got to talk to Albert Breer about the Cardinals pipeline with Ohio State, including Captain Jack Sawyer.
Oh, no.
Who could be, did I not tell you this? We talked about Captain Jack, who could be the Cardinals' solution at pass rusher. So we bonded over that. You weren't invited to that conversation, though.
That is such pandering to Bert Breer.
Well, it's exactly what I did. We only talked about Ohio State players.
Did you lead with Captain Jack?
I ended with it. We talk about Paris. We talk about Justin Fry and Marvin Harrison Jr. And then I just said, you know what? Cardinals need a pass rusher. And I asked him where he thinks Jack Sawyer is going to be drafted. And his answer might surprise you all. But you got to tune in tomorrow for the conclusion of Radio Row here. But the party doesn't stop. We're live on all the social outlets, right? Catch us on X, of course, here on YouTube. Subscribe, like the video. We're on Instagram, TikTok. Everything and anything is going to be on our social platforms.
And if you want to continue the conversation, just costs you under $50 for the year. The exclusive member Discord. Get in, become a diehard today. Go PHNX.com, and you'll get to see what we're doing, what's behind the scenes. As Johnny continue to just put away meal after meal. You have to find out.
I'm documenting this entire night from Bourbon Street. If you want to see it, become a diehard. Get signed up right now. You're going to get the exclusive footage. Do us a favor. Tag us on Twitter. Like M. Let us know you become a diehard. Instant retweet, instant follow. We appreciate you all. Big thanks to our team here in New Orleans. Damon, Shane, Bo. I'm Johnny Venerable. Big thanks to all of our phenomenal guests today. We are back with the conclusion of our Super Bowl coverage here on PHNX Cardinals on a Football Friday. Be well, everybody.
We all silly like the mayor.